Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today I want to talk to you about a very controversial Supreme Chancellor by the name of Contispex I. He was a member of the Pious Dei religious order. During his reign, the Republic carried out several crusades mainly against impure alien cultures and greatly expanded the territory for the glorious Galactic Republic. Now, there are very few photos or images from this period in Star Wars history, so I'll be just using random photos, mostly 40K Warhammer photos, to illustrate this pretty incredible story of when human supremacy gripped the galaxy. Pious Dei was a monotheistic religion that started somewhere around 12,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. The members of the religion adopted a strict moral code which emphasized spiritual purity and humanocentrism. Humanocentrism simply means seeing the galaxy from the majority human point of view. For instance, a Twi'lek isn't just a Twi'lek to us, it's a non-human. And it makes the Republic a better and safer place when we make these type of distinctions. Pius Dei worshipped a deity known as the Goddess, and they believed she would handsomely reward her followers for purifying or destroying the impure. Now, of course, what qualified as impure would vary from one member to another. For some, impure might mean a human who is simply curious about other alien species. For some less extreme members of the organization, impure just basically meant aliens. But it's really up to the individual to judge themselves who is more righteous in their belief. Now, the rules of the Pious Dei sect were pretty simple, kind of like cornhole. This was a religion that rewarded direct action against its enemies and did not require much self-discipline or introspection or personal change like other more tedious and boring spiritual systems. Which is pretty cool, but we haven't even gotten to the best part of being a member of Pious Dei. Just like how certain self-employed people can claim almost anything as a business expense on their taxes, as a member of Pious Dei, you can basically declare a holy crusade on any person you really don't like, and you'll be richly rewarded for defeating them. For centuries, the members of Pious Dei spread their gospel, and quickly they grew a large following, especially on the more human-dominated deep core planets like Coruscant. As the population became more saturated with Pious Dei members, the organization concentrated on placing their members in positions of power. On Coruscant, a massive civilian movement backed by Pious Dei campaigned for a crackdown on corruption and purging the unredeemable elements plaguing the Republic. Eventually, this popular movement led to the impeachment and removal of Supreme Chancellor Pius Dea. Pius Dea was a Bothan who were basically always up to no good and political hacks. Now, it's important for us to judge each human as individuals and not based on their political, religious, or social affiliations. We should always treat other humans with respect and never judge them simply by their appearance. But when it comes to aliens, it's always okay to stereotype or subdue them first, just so that you and your loved ones are safe first. Pius Dea was then suicided by the Malachite Poisoners, a famous group of assassins that were employed by Pious Dei. Bothans were extremely dangerous political enemies to have, so I'm sure it was justifiable. With a vacancy in the executive position, Pious Dei looked towards one of their own to insert into the position. Entering Contispex I, a Coruscanti native and prominent member of the Coruscant Merchant Guild and a devout member of the Pious Dei sect. Contispex was known for his staunch opposition against corruption and vice, along with the high standards he held himself and those around him to. As a senator, Contispex had led the campaign to impeach the former Bothan Supreme Chancellor, and soon after he was elected as his replacement in a landslide vote with a mandate to clean up the galaxy once and for all. Finally, Pious Dei had one of their believers in the highest office in the galaxy. This emboldened the organization's many followers who were already a part of the Republic government or the military. Following the script of his religion very closely, Contispex I started setting up the right environment to start his first Holy Crusade. Interspecies tensions had existed in the Republic since its founding, almost 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Legends say that the Republic was founded in the ashes of the Great Rakatan Empire. They're an all-powerful evil alien race that took over the entire known galaxy and enslaved almost every being they came across, and pressed them into service building more war machines and ships. An unexpected consequence to their military campaigns was the spreading of different alien species to different worlds. The Rakatans viewed all non-Rakatans as basically inferior and treated them all as equal slaves. All of Rakatan technology, including their FTL drives, ran on dark side energy. But then a mysterious plague hit the Rakans. This disease severed one's connection to the Force, and over the period of one generation, the entire Rakan Empire fell apart and was stranded in small pockets of the galaxy because they could no longer fly their ships. So all over their former empire, slaves rose up against Rakans and established their own societies and kingdoms. And those slaves were the ancestors of the founders of the Old Republic, and they were quite diverse. And despite the best intentions of the founding fathers of the Republic and all the species that lived inside the Republic, some aliens were just degenerates and not to be trusted, like the Bothans or the Anzat, who sustained themselves by sucking out other people's brains. Some species are just not redeemable unless you use a heavy dose of fire. And so Contispex encouraged more interspecies tensions and wasn't afraid to show his pride of being a human. After all, most of the prominent leaders of the Republic were humans, as were many high-ranking members of the military. We were the majority race in the Galactic Republic and carried most of the responsibility for its foundation and its continued expansion. Contispex pushed to label aliens and factions that supported aliens as unbelievers. At the same time, the Pius Dea cult offered salvation to fallen communities, which could only be redeemed if their unredeemable elements were purged. This is basically dog whistling for let's kill all the non-humans, or at least remove them from this location. Contispex was a great orator. He had a lot of bass in his voice, he spoke very clearly, and he always made sure his hands made big, violent gestures as he was talking, as someone in power would. Contispex spoke of making the Republic great again and returning it back to its traditional values and punishing the Republic's foes for their blasphemous behavior. Under Contispex I, the executive branch gained a considerable amount of power, and with that power, he restructured the Republic government with a heavy focus on military and economic expansion. The Pius Dea cult would carry out purges within the military and government of non-believers and replace them with their own members, further solidifying their power over the Republic. This prepared the way for Contispex's first holy war against the Hutt Empire. It was an easy choice. Hutts looked gross and disgusting, and they were usually involved in reprehensible activities such as human slave trafficking and getting young humans addicted to spice or blasters. Hutt space had always been neutral territory, and the Hutts rarely ever took sides and considered war bad for business because they were usually involved with everyone's business. But popular opinion in the Republic was definitely against them. In 11965 BBY, Contispex launched a three-pronged assault on Hutt space from the Republic frontier in an effort to completely get rid of the Hutts' criminal operations. The Hutts would elude Contispex for his entire 40-year reign, but this would be the beginning of a period of time known as the Pius Dea Crusades. Contispex would step down after 40 years of rule and give power to his son, starting the Contispex Dynasty, which would rule the galaxy for 1,000 years and spread the teachings of Pious Dei. During the Contispex era, a total of 34 crusades were completed against various unredeemable alien species that needed to be destroyed, including several crusades against the Hutts, crusades against the Duros, Herglics, Zabroks, Dirty Bothans and Lanix, Zaxxarans and Tirsans, and of course the Gingerkinians. And during this period of time, the Republic also saw major changes in the social order. For one, religious conversion to the Pious Deist sect was pursued not only for spiritual purity, but also because it increased one's social mobility and gave them unrestricted passage throughout Republic-controlled worlds. The religion was so central to Republic life that even certain aliens were allowed to join the religion, although they were still seen as second-class citizens by humans. While humans were highly concentrated in the deep core areas of the galaxy, the Outer Rim territory was full of different alien species. And so discrimination wasn't just about what species you were, but what part of the galaxy you were from. The Republic Navy, when it wasn't engaged in crusading and massacring aliens in the Outer Rim, was focused on supporting religious missionary work and acquiring wealth and treasure for the Republic from the Outer Rim. The actions of this cult would help to inflame tensions between the Outer Rim and Core for 1,000 years, a trend that would continue for the rest of galactic history and lead to the Clone Wars. So as you can see, human supremacy was not something that Emperor Palpatine started. It was a part of the galaxy's complicated history from even the beginning of time. But let me know in the comment section below about what you think about the Pious Dei movement and individuals like Contispex. Was he a hero protecting humanity, or was he a xenophobic, evil, I guess, human supremacist? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.